Hey, Green Machine friends and fans of fun, we have a lot of books this week, and we have a lot of stock, so please do come through. We have a lot of stuff to sell you. Although we dodged a bullet because, we had a new UPS driver, and he seems nice. But every one of our boxes was sideways or upside down, which you don't do that to comic boxes. And they literally have like an arrow that says this side up. So, he's a very nice guy, but if he doesn't respect our comics, he'll wind up in a shallow grave. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, that was a joke. I have to preface everything like that in 2019. Disclaimer, joke. Okay, so let's get to the stories. There's a lot of stories this week, and my God, most of them are great. In fact, I think all of them are great. I didn't have a bad time with any of them. The first one on the list is RWBY. RWBY, if you don't know, is essentially fantasy dirty half dozen, not dirty dozen. They're all sort of poisoned, and they need to get their daily dose of poison. And they're trying to accomplish a mission for the Empire. That's pretty much the plan. In this current one, they have to sneak into a prison and assassinate someone. It doesn't go as planned. Of course, it doesn't. I do have to say that of all the fantasy books on our shelves, I mean, I do like Conan, but this one is one of the best. Like, I have a really, really good time with this book. It's four issues deep, and I have a feeling it's wrapping up at 6, but this has been a great, great showing. So come pick this up. Next is White Fox, and White Fox, if you don't know, is, she's being scouted for the agents of Atlas. And meanwhile, she's a fox. A shape changer, if you will. I can't remember the name. I think it's Kamari, I think is what it is, or Kamai or something. But she's a shape changer. She can change between a fox and a human. And there's legends about them, and some of them say that they're evil. But obviously, if she's the main character, she's not quite evil. She is a little hard to control, I think. And the agents of Atlas sort of come to that conclusion. Yeah, she's got kind of a checkered past, dealing with some memory issues. Really good showing. And then it's got another story by Future Fight first, so that would be the Future Avengers. That story was okay. There's nothing really to write home about, I don't think. But the first one was great, and I really like the art. They're doing this whole where half the book is very manga style and the other half is traditional comics. And I always appreciate that style. I like what they're doing. This is Wong Labranda, Jeffo Garza Silva, and Sanchez Almara. And if you need a little more Agents of Atlas in your life, you really can't go wrong with White Fox. I had a great time with it. Next is Usagi Yojimbo. My favorite samurai bunny has been sort of going through Japan trying to escort Lady Rider, who is famous, to another province. And he's trying to help her escape her husband, who is a samurai who is jealous of her fame. So, that's kind of put him on a collision course with him. And I really loved this story. Sakai does really good stuff. He does a lot of foreshadowing, and the way the story plays out then is not always how you'd expect it. And it's just great. I always feel like I don't know, like I just get lost in Usagi stories. They're wonderful. So this is the wrap-up of a story, but if you jumped in on it, I don't think you would be terribly confused on 5, so don't let that scare you off. But you know what you're getting with this. You're getting the usual Stan Sakai fun. So come check this out. Next is Dr. Doom, and I think this might be our pick of the week. I had such a good time with Doom. There's just so much to unpack. I mean, I like everything about Doom. I like his style. I like how he's very dramatic. I like his insults, like he calls someone a picnic ant in this. And he beats up, I think it was Captain Britain, but he tells him it's time for a Brexit. And I love everything about Doom. But this basically, it starts off with, in Latveria, and he's on newscasts, and the news reporters are being hard on him because, they're trying to start a black hole on the moon, and the black hole will be used to contain our garbage. And it's sort of to help clean up the environment. And that has been put forth by Reed Richards and Tony Stark. So they've put together the tech, and Doom sees utter doom in that. And so one of the newscasters makes fun of him, which of course is not what you do to Doctor Doom. And then on top of that, something goes wrong. Someone has sabotaged stuff in Latveria, and it's wound up launching missiles to mess up that program. And it basically paints a bullseye on Doctor Doom's back. It's great. It's great. This is, if you're going to have a villain as the main character, you know, he needs to be very villainy, and on top of that, there needs to be some reason, some wrong to him, I guess, to push the story forward, and it feels right. More importantly, there's a really dope scene with Kang the Conqueror where he shows up, and he just kind of randomly shows up in time, and he's like, why do I keep coming back to hang out with you? And they're like, well, I don't know, maybe we're just kind of bound, and so they just start, you know, drinking and BSing, and then, you know, Kang sort of flitters back off in the time stream, and it was awesome. Like, I love that just that little bit of realness added to the character. So this is Christopher Cadwell, Salvador LaRocca, Guru Effects. That name is so funny to me. But Doctor Doom issue number 1. I would say if you're a Marvel fan, this is a can't miss. This was amazing. Next is my man, Matthew Rosenberg, doing Jedi Fallen Order, Dark Temple. So this centers around, well, it always starts with an Inquisitor and a Padawan who has been separated from her master and has sort of allied with a rebellion. And I have a sneaky suspicion that the Padawan is going to turn out to be the Sith Inquisitor. I don't know for sure, but I think that's what's happening. I think that's how they're setting the stage. But it's a great read nonetheless. Rosenberg writes action well, and his brand of action fits perfectly for a Jedi story. More importantly, the Master is a character I've seen before, but I can't remember from what. It drives me nuts. Like, I've legitimately seen this guy before, and I can't remember who he is. I think maybe from, like, a Kyle Katarn, like, Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast game, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, so this is a good story. If you haven't jumped in on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, well, come pick this up. I don't think you'd be terribly confused on issue 3. It's a pretty good showing. The art is, it's so-so. I don't know if I'm really sold on the art, but the writing is amazing.
She might be the second sister then, from the Inquisitors.
Maybe. Next is Ronan Island, issue number 7. This story's amazing. It feels like I'm watching an Akira Kurosawa film that never happened. Because I don't recall an Akira Kurosawa film with zombies and giant monsters and stuff like that, but...
Not off the top of my head.
Nah, I don't think so. But this is just... Although he does have a film where he just pretty much does his dreams. And, like, they're very surreal. So, I don't know. Maybe it's in that one. But this is awesome. It is outstanding. It's everything I want out of a samurai story. Basically, there's pretty much the whole shogun has been dealing with giant monsters and trying to come to solution. Their islands have all been messed up, and in the meantime, they're trying to find the main character's island itself, trying to figure out where it's at. And the main characters are two people who I think were training to be samurais when all this stuff happened, I believe. But now they're just trying to sort of keep the monsters at bay and keep the shogunate from finding their island. So yeah, it's a great showing. This is a great pack. Giannis, Milo no Giannis, I can never pronounce that name, and Irma Novella. It's awesome. I have such a good time with this every issue. It's just entertaining. The art is on point. The art feels fun and whimsical. Like it does feel like Stan Sakai at times in how it's drawn, and I like that. And the story is just amazing. Plus, these covers are outstanding. You could frame them and stick them on your wall. They're beautiful. So come pick that up. Next is, Lowkey. And this is issue number 4, and this is Kibble Smith, Bazaldua, Olazaba, Curiel, and Lopez. This is, the last issue ended with him going up against Nightmare, which, if you don't know Nightmare, he sort of makes your darkest dreams a reality and tries to use them against you, and that's what Loki's facing. But Loki's the trickster, so yeah, he'll probably come out on top, and it's a great read. It was amazing. I had a good time with it. They'd been building this for a couple of issues, at least like 2 or 3 issues, I think. It's issue number 4, but building up to this fight, they had set some stuff in motion, and it played out well. I liked how it played out. It was great. It was everything I wanted out of a Loki book. This, honestly, Kibblesmith has nailed the character. Like, Loki is known for all his devious stuff, and in the past, he's mostly been a villain, but he's just sort of hit the nail on the head, and this is really what I wanted out of this character. It's great. So, issue number 4, come pick this up. Next is RWBY, and I'm relatively sure this picks up where the animated story left off. I think some of it is flashbacks. Some of it, I think, is where the animated story is left off. I honestly, my memory's fuzzy, and I remember watching RWBY, but I'm not sure how far I got into the series. But I mean, it's a good showing. The art is really on point. I had a great time with the art. It didn't feel very generic. It had a lot of character. I liked the art. The story was partially told in flashbacks, partially told with the regular timeline, which I'm pretty sure takes place after the animated show. It was okay. It was okay. Honestly, I'm not really bonded with these characters, and I don't think I ever have been. So you're going to have to take it with a grain of salt. I think if you are a RWBY fan or a Rooster Teeth fan, you probably absolutely love the story, and you would have a good time with it. But, you know, it's an issue 1. You could come dip your toes in it and see if you like it. This is Bennett, Adolfo, and Prianto. Come pick this up. It's great. Next is, well, it's our segment called What the Heck Did Diamond Send Us? And, well, this is by Scout Comics, and it's called Rise. And this is Don Aguila. That's Don Aguila. That's it. Okay. Scout Comics is a smaller imprint I haven't actually heard of, and I don't think we ordered this. I mean, we ordered it. It was on our list, but we don't recall ordering it, and we certainly wouldn't start with an issue 5. Now, redeeming traits. Well, the story's a little bit confusing if I jump in on it from here. I didn't quite get it. It's sort of the boundaries between life and death are thin, and there's 2 worlds at play here. Some people can sort of go between, and there's some kind of like reality hacking. So all of that stuff sort of interests me separately. Putting it together was, well, it was a bit jumbled. And granted, I've jumped into this late. It's probably a completely amazing story. I'm just a little confused on issue 5. So I'm not sure you should start with issue 5. However, I will tell you that the art was really on point. The art was great. I really like this artwork. I don't know. I found that amazing. The writing, well, I just wasn't quite sure as to what was going on, and it was sort of jumping around in places, and I don't know these characters well. But if you feel like starting on something, well, mid-story, Rise is here for you from Scout Comics. Keep in mind, I'm being a little critical because I didn't know what was going on with the story, but I will say I'm impressed as someone who doesn't know what Scout Comics is. The art was really, really good. And the topography is for maps. What's the font, the study of fonts type?
Oh, calligraphy.
No, it's not calligraphy. Typo. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts. Anyways, so that was really, really, really on point. I had a good time with that. Yeah, I can't remember. I know there's a word for it. It's going to drive me nuts. But what I will say is the art was great. The lettering was great. The story, it was very detailed, and they have some good concepts here. I just wish I understood it a little better. But if you want to see a small imprint that seems to be doing the job right, come check this out. I'm impressed. We might actually order more Scout Comics because this was a good showing. Next is Superman and the Super Sons return. Well, if you don't know, Jonathan Kent has been aged, 5 years? He hung out, he got trapped on Earth 3, which is the crime syndicate. I can never get my names right.
I can never get my world right.
And it took him several years to get off planet and get back home, and he's done that. So he's aged. And he goes and meets up with Damian Wayne, his best friend. And, well, Damian's not happy at all. He's absolutely 100% not happy that Jonathan Kent is a bit older. He's a bit mad and kind of jealous that he's gotten older. And so, you know, Jonathan Kent's trying to explain things to Damian, and Damian's throwing batarangs at his head, which just bounce off his head because he's Jonathan Kent. It's a great showing. On top of that, Jonathan Kent is, he's getting ready to leave for the League of, I can't remember. The year 3000, the year 3000 League of Tomorrow. Is that it?
I think so.
I'm so bad with names. I'm sorry. Anyways, it's a really, really good showing. The art was amazing. I mean, like, it was really, really good. I think they were trying to capture that fun of Super Sons and give, like, a different spin on it, maybe. This is Bendis, La Fuente, and Mounts. They did something different. I don't know what it was, but I really, really dug it. So it was fun. It felt like it should. It's exactly what I wanted from these characters. Jonathan Kent is, trying to adjust and see if he's going to take the offer. And meanwhile, Damian Wayne is just angry at Leviathan, and that's the way it goes. So anyways, issue number 16, the Super Sons return. We have a theory, don't we?
Oh, yes.
We should talk about this. So Jonathan Kent has been aged 5 years. Damian Wayne is younger. But we're trying to figure out who Leviathan was. And somebody had suggested that maybe it's Damian Wayne from the future. And if it is, then they resync their ages.
It would.
That would make sense. I don't know. I would like to see that happen. That's crazy. Anyways, issue number 16, Superman. Go pick this up. It was an amazing showing. Next is Hellmouth. And this is the Buffy Angel event where they're both collectively dealing with the Hellmouth opening in Sunnydale, which I believe does happen after the first season, so they might be on point with that one. It sort of does. That's after the master. The master. I don't know. The Buffy timeline is all over the place in this, and so they're sort of coping with that. They're trying to get Anya to help. Anya's trying to bail out because she's just worried about herself. And it goes from there. You get a bunch of the high school blowing up and people fighting and people trying to save the. You know what you get if you're in the Buffy and Joss Whedon. So that's pretty much what you get. It's a great showing. It's issue number 1 of 5. I do want to see more. This is Joss Whedon, Jordi Belair, Jeremy Lambert, Eleonora Carlini, and Chris Peter. Good showing, guys. Boom Studios. Come pick this up if you're a Buffy fan. You will be absolutely enamored by this story. They've done things different too. Xander is a half vampire actually, which has never happened that I can remember. Although he was a full vampire when they crossed over to the dark timeline. So, and then he was dead. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, so this is a Buffy Angel event. Come pick this up. It's a great showing. Wait, was he a full vampire? It was Willow. Yeah, it was Willow and Xander at one point. Yeah, I remember that. Anyways, next is Event Leviathan. We already sort of talked about this. This is pretty much right now we've got all the players of who could be Leviathan, and now they're sort of winding it down and just removing people from the playing field. These people can't, these people can't, these people can't, these people can't. Who could it be? And, well, they've sort of got a clue, but I think it's a red herring. So you don't find out who Leviathan is in this issue, sad face. But you do find... Sorry, technical difficulty. So back to Leviathan. Event Leviathan. So you don't quite find out who Leviathan is in this issue. You do sort of find out something about it. It hints at something, but I completely think it's a red herring. I think it's just to throw it off. I mean, you know what you're getting here. This is Bendis and Malieve. It's Bendis at his best. Like, he writes a very good, sort of confusing story with a lot of twists and turns, intentionally confusing, is what I mean to say. And the art is kind of watercolory, and it goes from, I go from thinking it's too gritty at times to thinking it's perfect at times. So I don't know. I go back and forth on the art. This is issue 5. I don't recommend you starting with issue 5 if you haven't been on Event Leviathan. I think you should go back, pick up some back issues. We've got them. But it is a good showing. So come pick this up if you've been in this event. Next is Batman's Grave. And this is, it's issue 1 of 12. This is Ellis, Hitch, Nolan, and Sinclair. It's nice to see Ellis in there. It basically opens with Batman tending to the graves of the Waynes, and then it sort of flows into a story that seems like it might be Batman's last case. And it involves a man who's been dead, who's been rotting in an apartment, and Batman gets sent out there to sort of figure out what's going on with his body. And the guy was obsessed with Batman. There's newspaper clippings everywhere, so he's got to figure it out. And it's super interesting. It is a bit confusing, but it's intentional confusion. It's a detective story, and the unraveling the mystery is part of it. So if you are a Batman fan, you know who you are. You will be perfectly happy with Batman's Grave. I'm happy to say that. It's a very good Batman story. More importantly, it's a nice piece of artwork on this cover. It looks great. Too spoopy for me. Next is The Flash, issue number 80. And this is Williamson, Collins, and Guerrero. This is, well, okay, let me try and give you the quick wrap-up. There are other forces, the Still Force, the Speed Force, the Speed Force is the main one. The Still Force, the Sage Force, and the Strength Force. And those existing is affecting the Speed Force and causing it to lose life. So the Black Flash has been dispatched to kill the other Force users, and Flash is trying to keep them alive. That's what we've got so far. But there was supposed to be one other force introduced. Do you remember that, right? Mm-hmm. One other force is supposed to rise to power, and that's going to unlock Perpetua and finish the Doom Justice War. And it might be in this issue. I think it's in this issue. It's a very surreal and cool-looking force. I want to know more about it, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. You're going to have to come pick it up. It's really something to see. They were sort of playing with the artwork, and I liked what they did. I wanted to know so much more. But this is Flash number 80. Come pick this up if you're a Flash fan. You will be totally happy with it. Next is these. Well, these are amazing. There's a whole bunch of DC 100-page giant books, and I had a really good time with all of them. This one centers around Batman. This is the Batman 100-page issue number 1, and this is only $4.99, and you are just getting a giant trade paperback-sized book. It is divided up into, I think, about 5 stories. The Batman story was great. The Batwoman story was great. More importantly, each one of these seems to have a Harley story in it. The Harley story was real good. I had a good time with that one. So yeah, Batman 100-page giant, it's $4.99. So if you are a DC fan, I would say don't skip this. The paper quality is so. Oh yeah, the Nightwing story was good too. The paper quality is so. It almost, at times, it feels like newsprint, and I think that's how they kept the cost down on this thing. But it's a really good purchase for your money. So yeah, come check that out. Next is Justice League Odyssey, issue number 14. And we need to talk about this for a minute, because there's a lot to unpack. Jessica Cruz, we saw her get killed by Darkseid. She didn't fit his plan. He had already turned the rest of the Justice League Odyssey into his versions of New Gods, with Cyborg, God of Knowledge, and I can't remember all of them. So they all got turned into something. I think Starfire was the God of Strength. Yeah, I can't remember them all. But Jessica Cruz didn't fit the plan, so he killed her with an Omega Beam, and it didn't quite kill her. It shattered her ring, which you're not supposed to be able to shatter Green Lantern rings. I've seen it happen a couple times. Sinestro did it last year to Jon Stewart, but it's implanted. She has shards of her ring in her, and that combined with her willpower and the Omega energy has somehow resurrected her and given her new strength and new powers. And I love this Jessica Cruz. Jessica Cruz is a character that's always sort of bounced between sort of confidence and being the new person on the job, struggling with finding her place. And having been killed, well, it's pissed her off. And wow, she is super confident, and I love this Jessica Cruz. So yeah, come pick this up. She's planning to pretty much kick Darkseid's butt. And meanwhile, while she's dealing with this stuff in the Ghost Sector, or New Apocalypse as it's being transformed into, she does see the totality up in the distance and knows that the rest of the Justice League is over there. So everything is converging very nicely. So Justice League Odyssey, issue number 14. If you're a DC fan and you're not reading this Justice League stuff, I'd be confused. Like, it's all good. Next is Batman Ras al Ghul, and this is part of the old guard. This is Neil Adams doing the penciling, the inking, the writing, and the coloring. It's wild. And did I have a good time with it? I actually did. I had a better time than I did. Oh, excuse me. Ah, man, too much ginger ale. I had a better time than I did with the first issue. The first issue, it wasn't bad. It was just Ras al Ghul being Ras al Ghul, and Batman somehow gets killed, and then Bruce Wayne runs up, and it didn't quite make sense. And so this is sort of picked up after it's left off, and we find out what's going on with these alternate versions and what's happening. But nothing is quite too clear just yet. It's pretty cool, though. I had a good time with it. There is an unexpected entry at the end. It's very old-fashioned comic feel, and I like that sort of thing. So yeah, come pick this up. Neil Adams this is a good showing. Batman Ras al Ghul. Next is Miles Morales, issue number 11, and this is Saladin Ahmed, Iguara, Zay Carlos, and Dono Sanchez Almara. And my God, there is so much good in this. So much good in this issue. There is a lot of stuff. Miles is basically trying to bust. There's a new drug on the street, and he's trying to bust the people who are selling it and dispersing it, and dispensing it, not dispersing it. And it might actually put him, on a collision course with his uncle. You can tell that from the cover. But it was a really, really good read. The art is, my God, everything about this Miles run has been amazing. I've loved every piece of art that's come out of it. You could literally take most of these pages, frame them, and put them on your wall, and they would make your house look so good. Everything about this run has been outstanding, and this one is no different. It's great writing. It's fun. It feels like how I want a Miles comic to feel. It looks like how I want a Miles comic to look. They've just nailed it. Knocked it out of the park. So issue number 11, come pick this up. Next is Catwoman, issue number 16. And, I picked this up in hopes that it would tie in with the current Batman run. And it didn't. It didn't. At least I don't think it did. It did sort of tie in with the Year of the Villain and Catwoman getting an offer from Lex. That's kind of cool. It involves her sort of failing at a job, and some of it's told in flashbacks, and then some of it is her trying to get vengeance for that sting or that burn. So it's a typical Catwoman story. It doesn't feel that too different. The art it's so. I don't know why. I didn't really super bond with the art for whatever reason. It's one of those, it feels great at times, it feels too gritty at times. So anyways, this is Catwoman, issue number 16, Crossroads. If you're a Catwoman fan, you will be totally happy. This is by Jones and Allred. So come pick this up. Oh my God, we got to talk about this book. Now, both me and Yogi are big Karate Kid fans. We were growing up. And then we became big Cobra Kai fans. And, that was first season and then second season. And so this is the Cobra Kai comic. And there is a lot to say about this. First of all, I got this issue, and I'm not giving it up. I'm sorry. That cover is too amazing. I'm going to take that one home. But the rest of it is awesome. This is, of course, Johnny Lawrence's story. Otherwise, it wouldn't be named Cobra Kai. A part of it is told in flashbacks. It goes over stuff we know. It goes over, early Karate Kid stuff. It goes over his stepdad being a jerk to him. It's everything from Johnny's story. Meanwhile, it starts telling a new story in the modern times, and it talks about his group of kids that he's training, and they're getting ready to go fight at All Valley. So that puts the timeline between sort of near the end of season 1, but before the actual competition. And so it's perfect. That's pretty much what I want. I got a little bit of nostalgia out of this, and then I got a new story coming about the new cast, and I like that. It's just what you want when you don't have a new season yet. So Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid, the saga continues, Johnny's story, and the back is awesome too. This is issue 1. The art was pretty darn good. I don't know what effect this is, but I liked it. It's just whimsical at times, that it's fun, and it's just enough ink. It feels right. It fits the Karate Kid motif, I guess you could say. So anyways, issue number 1, come pick this up. Next is, Detective Comics, issue number 1013. You might need to go pick up this issue because, what is Mr. Freeze known for? Mr. Freeze is known for a lot of things, but one of the things in particular is that his wife, Nora Fries, has been frozen for, how long has it been? 30 years?
Something like that.
sometime in the
More in
90s.
the 90s?
Yeah. But, so she's been frozen for a long time, and we know from the last issue that Freeze was getting ready to unfreeze her, and he was doing that by kidnapping women with similar physiology, I guess you could say. And so he may or may not have done that in that. But more importantly, I'm pretty sure this is the Hellbat suit in this issue. I'm relatively sure that's the Hellbat suit. It's a very hot, fiery suit that is very sharp, which is pretty much how I imagine the Hellbat every time, and every time I see it. But artists always go like different directions with it, so I'm not entirely sure it is. Like, it could just be some variation of the fire variation of the Batman suit. But it feels very Hellbat-y, so I don't know. Anyways, so you get a really cool Batman suit in this. More importantly, you might get a piece of history in this. There might be a real reason to collect this issue. So if you're a Batman fan, Detective Comics issue 1013 just might be your jam. Next is, well, it's Thought Bubble, the book we didn't know anything about. I think this is a one-shot, and it's the Yorkshire Comic Art Festival Anthology for 2019. This features, I'm going to murder all these names, Mingju, Helen, Chen, Jerry Duggan is the only name on this list I recognize. Brendan Fletcher, Lee Garbett, Benji Goldsmith, Abigail Jill Harding, Jock Daniel, Warren Johnson, Kim Joy Tula, Luke Pearson, Lotte is, I guess, a different name. Richard Starkings, and many more. So what do you get from this? Well, you get about a 2 to 3 page spread per story. I guess there's one at the beginning, so 1 to 3 page spread per story. And each of these has different art, and they go all across the gamut. And more importantly, some of this art is really, really cool looking. Like, this page is just awesome looking. And some of it is very whimsical and comical. I had a good time with this. Some of these stories I really wanted to know more about. So you know who you are if you do like that sort of short, fast, sweet sort of stories to comics, the sort of anthology feel. This is a perfect book for you. This is only $3.99. It's by Image. So come pick this up if that's your jam. Is something burning?
I smell food cooking. Yeah.
That's wild. Okay. Anyways, next is Gwenpool Strikes Back. And it smells like fire. I hope we're not on fire.
Huh. Okay.
It totally smells like fire. Okay. Well, PG&E? No. Anyways, Gwenpool. This is issue number 3. Gwenpool Strikes Back. And, well, she's sort of come to the conclusion that people like it when she's the bad guy. So what does she do? Well, she's trapped a lot of Marvel's heroes on an island and decided to make them fight each other. And the incentive to do it is, well,
Death.
you can tell from the cover she might have pissed somebody off.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. So that's all I'm going to say. It's a really good read. I laughed out loud 3 or 4 times. I don't know what it is about this Gwenpool writer, but he's nailed it. I'm having more fun with Gwenpool than I am Deadpool these days. So this is Williams, Baldion, and Alberto. A great showing. Granted, you need to like that sort of comical and sort of slapstick, not taken too much seriously comic hero stuff, but you will have an excellent time with Gwenpool. Next is Absolute Carnage tie-in, and this is The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 31. My God. I love the art, but I've loved everything about the art on this run. Oh, and this run is Spencer, Otley, Rathburn, and Fairbairn. And I love everything about the art, but I love this story. This is what I want from Spider-Man. Spider-Man is down. He's low on webs. He's injured, and he's still got to get up and fight. And that's what I love. And the way they tell it is so perfect. He's been cornered by Norman Osborn, but Norman doesn't realize he's Norman. He sort of thinks he's Cletus Cassidy, and he's got, the Carnage symbiote with him, and he's just beating the snot out of Spider-Man, good old Peter Parker. And meanwhile, Parker's trying to protect Dylan, Eddie Brock's son, and little Normie Osborn, Osborn Sr.'s grandson. Yeah. So it's a great read. It's honestly an awesome, amazing read. I loved everything about it. Granted, I don't think it's pick of the week because I had more fun with Doom, but this is a really, really close second. Honestly, it was a great, great showing. If you're a Spider-Man fan or you're a Venom fan, you need to get on board with this book. It was outstanding. So come pick this up. And we're back. Yeah, we're going to get hit with a power outage maybe this week. So the moral of the story is PG&E sucks, and we should all be making fun of them. Yeah, until they decide to sell the company to someone who can get the job done without burning down half of California. Sorry, I'm a little bitter. So we're going to get to the other books. I did recall that it's Legion of Superheroes. The 3000 timeline that is inviting Jonathan Kent to come hang out with them is Legion of Superheroes. I don't know why I said Legion of Future. I'm tired. I'm super tired today. Next book is Powers of X, issue number 6. And my God, House of X and Powers of X are going to be the first X-Men trade I have ever bought. Because X-Men have never been my jam. And this one wraps up beautifully. If you don't know, Powers of X was handling all of the timelines and sort of Morio's experience through the timelines and how they were going to navigate it. House of X was actually tackling those problems and establishing the nation. And in this one, they flesh out the rest of the nation. They're calling it, I think, the Silent Court, or I think that's what they call it. And each part of the court is made up of different sort of X-Men casts, like there is the spring court, the summer court, and of course the summer court has Cyclops on it because Scott's... I don't know. I thought that was so funny. The autumn court is like is Magneto, is Professor X, is Apocalypse, and then the spring court is the Hellfire Club, and the winter court is pretty much the big bad villains. And so that's how they're going to handle it. And these courts are going to handle everything that happens on the island of Krakoa and everything that pertains to mutants in the world. And more importantly, there's one last hitch, and that is they don't want a precog mutant on the island. They want them nowhere near the island. So all mutants are welcome except precogs. If you see the future, get out. And the reason for it is it makes perfect sense. Precogs have always seen the future, and they've always seen Doomsday. And, maybe it's been self-fulfilling. Who knows? But they don't want to know their future. They don't want to know that this time they don't succeed. Because this time they're literally throwing everything out at it and throwing out the book. Like, everything is different this time. So it was a really, really good wrap-up. I had the best time with this book. Honestly, as far as all of the Powers of X books, this was the best one, and I liked most of them. It was just a little bit, parts of it got a little confusing when they were jumping timelines, but I liked most of them, but this one was definitely the strongest, and it's a good wrap-up. I do feel like House of X was the better book, but Powers of X was, still a pretty good dance, is what I'm going to say. Hickman has really hit his stride here. The art is amazing. This is Hickman, Silva, Gracia, and Curiel, and this is going to lead us into the new X-Men books, which is what? X-Men, Excalibur, Fallen Angels, what? Marauders, and I think there's one more that I'm missing. But yeah, I don't know, I'm missing one. But anyways, you can sign up for those now, so if you want to sub to those, X-Force is the other one. So if you want to sub to those, come on through, but come pick up Powers of X, because this is Hickman's masterpiece. I mean, I like Jonathan Hickman. I've liked other stuff he's done. This is a masterpiece. This is really just a creator, just a writer just hitting it home. And the artists that he works with, Silva and Gracia and Curiel. Keep in mind, I'm saying it's Hickman's masterpiece. Really, I should be saying it's all of their masterpieces. It was an amazing ride. One of the best things I've experienced in comics. Come pick this stuff up. Next is, this is Hauser, Mooney, and Farrell, and this is Webb of Black Widow, issue number 2. Now, what you're getting with this story is you're getting a spy thriller, all akimbo of, like, I guess a more brutal James Bond is what it feels like. Because, Natasha is really brutal, and she's sort of visiting the sins of her past and righting her old wrongs. And it's kind of each one of these issues so far. I mean, there's only been 2, but each one has put her on a collision course with someone who is tied to the Avengers. And this one's no different. It's really, really fun writing, but you have to like spy thrillers. If you don't like spy thrillers, you would probably not have a good time with this. But it's a good showing. I had a great time with it. The art is on point. There's nothing bad about this at all. So if you like Black Widow, you will be totally happy with this comic. Next is Secrets of Sinister House. And this is, I guess the other ones were 100-page giants. This one is an 80-page giant. Someone didn't turn in their art in time, maybe. I don't know. So this is Secrets of Sinister House. This is a bunch of Halloween sort of time theme stories. And they're all pretty good. Like, I had a good time with all of them. Once again, Harley has a story in this. I think Harley is in all of them, which is kind of wild. But the best story, the absolute outstanding best story, was the end of this, and that was a Constantine story. And his story, the way it wrapped up, was really beautiful. And keep in mind, with Constantine, you're getting magic, and you're getting sort of a film noir feel, and that's really what it was. But the way it was told was just perfect. I love John Constantine as a narrator, and I love most of his stories. Granted, I haven't had the best time with the Rebirth run, but they killed that, and for good reason. But his other stuff, I've always had a blast with it. And this final story was just beautiful. I really just wanted to reread it when I was finished. So anyway, Secrets of a Sinister House, the Halloween DC special. Come pick this up. This is $4.99 for a lot of book. Is it $4.99? Oh my God, I lied. It's $9.99. My bad. So this is $10, but you get a pretty decent sized book. And the stories were great. The art is pretty good. There's different artists working on it. So come check this out. Oh, it says 8 Nightmare Tales. Okay. Ooh. Next is A Drink from Ginger Ale. And then next is a 100-page Villains Giant book. This features stories about Darkseid, Reverse Flash, Poison Ivy, Deathstroke, and the Joker and Deathstroke versus Jimmy Olsen. I don't remember reading that issue or that part. Anyways, this is, again, a 100-page book, and you get for $4.99. Wild. There's an 80-page book for $10.99, but a 100-page book for $4.99. You get a bunch of artists and a bunch of stories, and all of them were pretty good. I liked a lot of the synergy. I think maybe the Darkseid sort of apocalypse story was probably my favorite. It involved the Darkseid and Orion, and it was a pretty good showing. None of these, I will say, are too super deep. Like, wasn't too terribly... although, no, actually, I take that back. Most of them aren't too super deep. The beginning was kind of... I don't know if deep is the term. It was sort of thought-provoking. Basically, the Joker used social media to say that, hey, I will pay your medical bills if you say... Boletsa or something, some Russian word, and you do something crazy to get injured. And if you do this, I will pay your medical bills. So all these people with outstanding medical bills were doing things like taping hot dogs to them and running away from wild dogs and like jumping off buildings with like flying machine apparatuses. And he would pick the 5 best of the week and then pay their medical bills. And so the Batman does track him down in the story and kick his butt. But the Joker's like, I haven't done anything illegal. I've just inspired people. And Batman's like, you've created a perpetual human suffering machine through social media. And I thought that was deep and messed up and really, really unique and inventive. So I will say that story was kind of thought-provoking and wild. The rest of them, not so much. That doesn't mean that there's nothing to write home about. This is typical comic fare, and that's always good and fun. So anyways, 100-page Villains Giant. Just for that first story alone, this is totally worth the $4.99 price tag.
Sounds like something you totally hear on like the radio or something.
Right? It was super. I want to know what the word was because it was funny. Like, it just showed shots of all these people saying it. Bolyushka. Bolyushka? What is Bolyushka?
I know babushka.
Does it mean like bat or something? I don't know, but like there's literally someone an old lady in a shopping cart with like a rocket strapped to it. It's so ridiculous. But I had a really good time with that story, and the rest of the book was good. It's just, typical comic flair is what you get there. Next is the last book on our list, and this is Joker, Harley, and Criminal Sanity. Now, in case you haven't heard, most of the Black Label stuff is not your typical DC fare. It's not stuff that's in the normal canon DC universe. It's very adult, very deep, very thought-provoking, and the art is just absurdly cool on all these books. Save for the Superman Black Label one, which I'm not having the best time with. And granted, I don't know. I love Frank Miller growing up. I'm just not connecting with that book. This book, however, I love. It says Criminal Sanity, and really what it is, well, Harley came home to find her roommate murdered by the Joker. And because of that, she's sort of taken an interest in investigating. She's got a really high IQ, so she's taken an interest in investigating serial killers and becoming a profiler for the Gotham PD. And that's wild to see. It's a completely different take on her character. Granted, she's still dealing with psychology, which is what Harley is known for. But it's a wild take. And the best part about that book isn't the writing. The writing is deep. It's thought-provoking. She breaks down cases of famous serial killers, stuff that I know. I have a really dark streak. I like watching serial killer documentaries, and so she goes over stuff that's pretty well known, John Wayne Gacy and Ed Gein and stuff like that. But it was interesting to see. And then the art in this book is absurdly cool. I loved everything about this art. I don't know, it felt very similar at times to Batman Damned. And this is Kami Garcia, Miko Suyan, and Mike Mayhew, and they may well have worked on it. But at times it felt like there are some black and white, really detailed sort of drawings. And then at other times it almost feels like photorealistic, sort of really close to like Alex Ross style art. It was just amazing. By the time I finished this book, I just wanted to go back through it and study each of the pages as how good the art was in this book. I had just the best time with it. So anyways, this is $5.99, and it says on the back, murder is his art, catching killers is hers. I love it. I love everything about it. It's a different take on Harley, and that's what I wanted. So DC Black Label, most of these just knock it out of the park, so come pick it up. And I think that's our show for this week. We do have a drawing. We have a bunch of new posters. So we got to do the drawing. We weren't quite repaired. So we'll stall for a minute. I'll take a sip of ginger ale. What a week. I got to tell you, what a week. It has been the wildest ride of a week. A mood swing, if you will. And tomorrow, if our power gets cut off in the South Bay, I'm going to be so mad because that's my day off. And I want to sit around and play video games and read graphic novels and relax. So
Green Machine should be open.
We'll be open no matter what. I'm pretty sure if we got to do it by kerosene candlelight, we'll do it. Okay, so the first two I pulled out. I don't know why I pulled out two, but I did. This is either 9/11 or 1/16.
Number 116, Derverly Patrick.
Derverly Patrick. 86. Or 98. No, 86. It's 86.
Yeah, it's 86. All right.
Nick Stankovich. You want a poster. And last on our list, I'm going to dig deep because 363. This is a new person. Rafael Santos. You won a poster. And that's our show for the week. I hope you guys come in. We do have a ton of new stuff. I don't know that we have a ton of new trade, but we have a lot of comics this week, and I'm kind of scared to put them all out. So come pick them up.